Hello, and welcome to this episode of Mathematics. We're going to talk and walk through the actual lesson of solving multi-step equations. There's nothing very much different than what we've been doing. We're just going to talk about some example problems from the Pearson book. Problem number 1 says combining like terms. Well, when we mean that we're combining like terms, if I have A plus A, these are two like terms. So that means that I can combine those and just perform the operation, and this would be equal to 2A. Okay, so that's all we're doing in terms of talking about combining like terms. But if I have something like 2A plus, let's say, 3, okay, these two terms, they're nothing alike. So that means I cannot combine them when I'm adding or subtracting. Now, if I was multiplying, that would be a different scenario. Multiplying or dividing, I could combine them. But in terms of adding or subtracting, when we're combining like terms, we're specifically talking about adding and subtracting. Okay, we're using our inverse property and our identity property under addition. Okay, so I'm going to look at my equation, and it says what is the solution of 5 is equal to 5m minus 23 plus 2m? Well, I can see here pretty quickly that I have two like terms. I have 5m and 2m. They're in the same expression, each one of these on my equation. That's expression 1. And this whole thing here is expression 2. Okay? Two expressions make up an equation. Okay? Erase that. All right, so I'm going to combine those like terms, and I'm going to rewrite my equation. That's a very important step so that we can see our reasoning and understand what our process was. If, say, aliens ever came down and looked at what was left and saw these papers, if I just gave you a number, like, say, 23, you don't know the context of that number 23. So we have to have each of our sentences. So I'm going to rewrite my equation. So 5m plus 2m becomes 7m is equal, not equal to, minus 23. Now, I have more like terms. I have negative 23 and 5. However, I have my equal sign. And because I have that equal sign, I can't just perform the operation. I have to use the inverse operation under addition, because what gets added to 23, in order to make 23 equal 0, I have to add a positive 23. Okay? Now, the rules of properties of equality says that I have to add it to both sides. If I've added it to the right side, I now have to add it to the left side. That's 23. This becomes a 0 pair. 23 plus 5 will give us 20. 5, 6, 7, 8, 7m. We are now I want to get this 7 away from that m. I want to get rid of them. Well, what's happening between the 7 and the m, these are 7 times m, okay? Like, I could even say m times 7. These two numbers, they're grouped together. In order to separate them, just like when we were talking about multiplying, I need to divide by 7. Not 7m, just 7, because if I divide by 7m, that would just make it equal 1. I just want the 7 to become 1. So I'm going to divide both sides by 7, and that's going to become 7. That's become 1. And then now we just have to take our 28 divided by 7, which will give us 4. So 4 is equal to m. Okay? Not too bad. Now, the reason that over here it talks about, how is this equation different from equations that you've seen before? Most of y'all, up until this point, before algebra, have just seen equations where you don't have a more than one problem or more than one term that are alike. Okay, and that's all that's asking you. All right? Now let's go on to the next problem. I'm going to do this next problem, number 2, in another video, because I don't want the videos to get overlong. See you then.